The heart of our missions is that God will be glorified and the others will know the grace of God who has called us. Learn how God is using the lives of people like you and like me to expand His kingdom. This is Between Brothers.
Denny Hedstrom, or Dennis Hedstrom. And where are you from again?
I'm from Old Town in Minnesota, southern Minnesota.
All right. How long have you been coming down here as I went around here?
This is my 25th year.
Wow. Wow.
Things have changed.
That's past, I've been doing it long enough to retire a second time.
Yes, I was waiting for my retirement check. I got to complete the year first.
How did you get connected with Rio Grande in the first place?
Well, I'll start at the beginning of the story and you can do what you like. In August of 1999, we went to a funeral for a sister-in-law of my wife. Well, there, one of her family friends introduced himself, and he had a house in Bibleville and invited us to come here and visit. I had said I had to excuse because I retired December 31st of 1999 that year. So I was just ready to retire. And we had made reservations to volunteer at a couple of conservation things out in Arizona.
Wow, okay.
In January. Shortly after that came in, or they met him, one of them got canceled.
Oh, one of the reservation, the projects or whatever.
One of the projects was canceled, which happened to be, was working on an Indian reservation, but I can't remember what or why.
Yeah.
And the one that was there, and I was very leery. I didn't really want to drive to southeastern Arizona for 4 days and then go home.
Yeah, that's kind of quick for such a long drive.
Yeah. So we decided, well, we'd call this guy from Bibleville and we'd go visit him a little bit.
Okay.
Well, we didn't know how far it was. Yeah. That's away from civilization.
South Texas. We always tell people it's south of South Texas.
Yes. And anyhow, well, they had a tour bus to tour over here, and we took a tour. I remember the Friesen building, there was just a bunch of steel columns sticking up in the air.
Wow.
That's all. And there was a man at the top doing something, I couldn't tell what it was, and a man right below him that looked like he was putting or making cement pads around these structures. That fascinated me. But we took the tour.
Can I ask, what did you retire from in 1999?
Well,
what was your first job?
Well,
well, not your first, but what did you retire from?
From the post office.
Okay.
I was a rural mail carrier the last career.
Okay, all right.
Before that, there was a long story.
Yeah, but so the construction work going on here was intriguing. What the work that people were doing.
Well, just to watch the one guy standing up there 40 feet in the air and one guy down right below him. You know, and the guy up there didn't have any ropes, or I could tell. You know, so, but we took the tour. Verla gave us a application.
Williams?
Yeah, Verla Williams.
Wow. Okay.
Which got stuffed in the pocket. We took it home. And truthfully, I was not happy with being in Texas. I didn't want to come back. The weather was bad and arthritis was active, which I still don't like on that. But so Over the summer, I sent out a stack of letters. I say 70, but that's just a number I picked out of my air. I had a stack about 2 inches of letters I wrote to different volunteer corporations that I knew accepted, the Corps of Engineers, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And got one phone call on a Saturday that would be good. And when I answered it on Monday, they'd filled it. The old guy decided to stay. Got 2 letters back from some Christian organizations, and one wanted a full year commitment.
Oh, wow.
And the other one,
Like 1 full year.
yeah.
Gracias. ¿Puede bajar la música un poquitito? Gracias.
The other one, I always said Jesus wouldn't have made it when he listed out the requirements.
Okay.
So anyhow, that's all we had. Nothing. So come September, October, we finally came across that letter, sent it in 2 days, Verla invited us down.
So you were looking for a place to be active. You weren't
That
looking
was-
to just sit and do nothing.
That was the deal with my wife. I'd go south for the winter, but I wasn't going to sit at some resort waiting for beer time to open because we wouldn't go in the afternoon.
Yeah. What is it that made you think that way? Was it just your personality? You didn't want to sit still, or
Yeah, basically. I'd had a nurse that was actually after that point, but I had knee problem or leg problems, and she told me that when I retired, I had 2 choices to make. One is to go sit down and wait for the hearse to come and pick me up, or keep active.
All right.
That's pretty.
Very black and white choice.
Yeah. Well, and she's right. I do that, but. So anyhow, then Burla, 3 days, we had an invitation from Burla to come down.
So that's how you ended up here.
Yeah. First day here, we had parked up in the yard up here at the end of the street, and because everything was filled up, went to work for my guy. Gary introduced me to Myron. Myron, we were putting up steel studs in prison building. And that one that didn't have any walls or anything, when I looked at it, had I'd say about 30 feet of the top row. Every relay box. That's all that was left.
Wow.
So we worked at that, and then I worked with Byron for a couple of years. And then occasionally I get called to go down in the shop to help one of the carpenters. And mostly just to hold up one end of the board or something. But
No, by the time I got here, which is several years later, I got here in 2017, you were kind of, correct me if I'm wrong, but you were kind of overseeing the paint shop, the projects and all of that. When did you move in, or how did you move into that that area?
People, whoever was in charge, I can't remember his name, wasn't coming back. So they knew that I had worked in the shop a couple times, varnishing some stuff when they needed it. And he knew that somewhere he'd learned that refinishing furniture was my hobby.
Oh, okay. So it's something you had done before.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I had an uncle that started me when I was 6.
Okay. Because I was thinking, well, paint shop, that doesn't fit with post office work, but this is something that you had experience in, had done before.
We had done.
All right. Yeah, because I remember in the COVID years, I was in quarantine, and you guys were holding up paint in front of the wall, or paint samples, like boards painted. Like, okay, what about this color? What about this color? Because they're trying to get the COVID rooms.
But yes, I was in charge.
Yeah.
And then about 4 years ago, I went home and I was shot for the summer. Took a couple months, just And I was thinking about it, and then I got the annual report from Kevin, and I realized I had 21 people and 7 projects going at one time.
Oh, wow.
And it's no wonder I was tired, because I just spent my day riding around from one to the other.
From one project to the next, keeping them all going.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it started lightening up.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. You know, before we go back to pre Rio Grande stories, I do want to ask you the question I've been asking everyone else for these testimonies. Where have you been reading in the Word of God recently?
Well, this morning I was reading in the story of Noah and the ark.
Okay.
Yeah, because I read a comment on the internet about how the ark lacks so many things. Like, for example, there was no steering wheel, no motor, no propellers, no nothing. So Noah, no matter what he thought, couldn't do anything.
Was not in control.
Yeah. And, I'm still working on that, but as a talk, but mostly look up the verses. But so what's that tell us today? If he was there and he was like a captive in prison, you might say,
Not able to see a single piece of land in sight.
he couldn't see a land, he couldn't steer, he couldn't do anything. The only thing I could read is he could open up a hatch someplace to see the sky.
Yeah. Once the rain stopped.
Yeah.
Before that. Yeah.
And so, how does that tell you? We know who was in charge. We know who gave him all the dimensions, told him what lumber to use, how to cure it, how to build it, all this and that.
When to have it ready, when to get in. It's like, okay, now it's time to go in and shut the door.
Yeah, and he had to make stalls for the animals and all this, and make room for his family.
So, is what impresses you about the story the power of God? When we have no power, when we have no control.
You had the trust in Noah, but then on the other hand, didn't make any difference what he thought. He didn't have anything to do other than take care of stuff.
Well, he did have to obey the instructions.
Yep.
And he did have to have the faith to get on when God told him to.
Once he got on and the rain came, he had to have the faith God was going to take him, take care of him.
Yeah.
He didn't know where he was going. He didn't know what mountain he landed on. We still don't know that. He didn't know anything, and he had the same for his family.
Yeah. I have a question. Have you ever experienced anything in your life that felt similar to that?
A few things.
Yeah. To having to, well, Lord, I'm obeying, but I don't know how this is going to end. I'm trusting that you will be in control.
A few things.
So it's something that
most recently moving to Bibleville from being here.
Yeah.
And then coming back here.
Okay.
To work.
Yeah.
And as I say, God used me to bring some people in, because that story is truly a God thing. The wife and I had talked about maybe selling, okay, because the step going up to the bedroom was getting higher and higher every year. Or we were getting older, one of these. But, and then one day, from the radio.
From radio? Tom?
Tom said he had heard at us, wish we were interested in selling, and he had a volunteer that wanted to come, but he needed to buy a trailer. Could he take pictures? So he came over one night and just took He just wore the film out in his camera. And he didn't have a film. He was just snap, 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 snap,
Or the whole thing?
the whole
Okay.
thing. And about a week later, I got an email from somebody I'd never heard of that says, I like it. I think I'll buy your trailer. Is that okay?
Wow. Okay.
And then there was a name attached.
Mm.
And I kind of let it slide. And about 3 weeks later, how are we going to close this deal? Okay. And that was quite easy because we were taking a different way home, and we were only going to be about 30 miles out of the way for us to stop by his house
Oh, wow.
with the paper.
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
So the Lord moved that along.
He moved it along, and we made arrangements. Well, also, at that same time, we stopped at Bibleville because the wife wanted to check on her sister's has a place there. And for some reason, she had to go look at it. We stopped at the office to let them know, and they had a new sheet out. It had a new trailer on it, and it was so good, we had to do it, and we got roped in because she called the guy and asked if he's home and would he have time for us to come see.
Right then.
Right then. And it was kind of awkward to back out. Okay. So we went over and met the gentleman. His wife was sick, and we really couldn't see a whole lot. But we said we'd go home and pray about it, which is our custom. Not talk about it, just pray about it, and then talk. And a few hours later, 4 or 5 hours later, I asked her if she had an idea what we should do. She said, yes, she thought we ought to buy it and pay full price, don't haggle. You know. And I said, yeah, that's what I thought too. So we called them, went out, made arrangements to meet him the next day and buy it.
Wow.
And my wife had a episode, so she was in the emergency room
Oh, that same day? Wow.
the next day.
Oh, the next day.
Yeah.
Okay.
This was on a Saturday, and we were going to meet on Monday or Tuesday, I forget. And in church, she ended up in an emergency room for a day or two. So I called him and I said, well, if you told him what was happening, I said, if somebody else comes along and wants to buy, go ahead. Otherwise, I'll check with you and we figure out what's going on. Called him about a week later. Nobody had been around to talk to him. So we made arrangements, bought it. He wanted to be out by April 1st, and this was, I don't know, somewhere around the 25th of March.
All right.
So we got the papers figured out, got it all thing out. We bought it on April 1st.
A question. In all of this, is the main thing of seeing the Lord's control or his sovereignty, his power, just in how he organized it each step of the way, just all in order?
When I look back, to finish the story, I went home that summer, and one of the former volunteers that was a close friend, we stopped for coffee. And he was telling me about his best friend had called him up and told him how he was so thankful God blessed him by selling the house so quick. Turned out it was the same place.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So I had this feeling that God was using me and I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah. Yeah, which happens all the time.
All the time.
But in this case, he also let you see in the end what he was doing.
Yeah.
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 Right.
So, yeah, that's...
Sometimes we see God's power just in the way that he organizes everything. And that is what encourages us in our faith, right? And the Lord grows our faith.
He grows it, yeah.
And then other times there's times where, again, you just have to trust that he knows what he's doing, even though I don't know what he's doing.
That happens most of the time for me. Most of the time for me, I was about 21 somewhere in that. When I had a bad week, I had wanted to go to school and I could never get to the university because I needed to be helped at home.
Hmm.
And finally, it got to the point where I was going to quit my work job, go to Minneapolis, get a job, and go to school.
Hmm.
And the night that it started, for the bad week, because a dear friend who was killed in an auto accident, a man that would call me to come and sing on his radio show once in a while quit because he knew I wasn't interested in making that a career.
Hmm.
And the night that school started, and I was so excited, I was working the second shift.
Okay.
At school, you don't go to night school at 8 o'clock when you're working from 3 to 12.
Uh-huh. Wow.
So
Okay.
I went for a long walk on after midnight when I
When you got off the
took
second
the car, drove home, and went for a walk out in the country.
shift? Uh-huh.
Finally, I just told God, I give up.
Huh.
You open a door, I'll go through it. And that's been my life message forever. If he opens the door, I'll go through.
Okay. Wow. Did you ever make it back to university, or that wasn't the door that
I
he?
got a job, which was beyond my experience. But I got one job. I got to go to night school. They paid for it for 3 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Well, they reimbursed me.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And I would have the classes I took, and I found out 20 years later by some psychiatrist looked at it and said, those are upper division classes. You'd have a master's if
Wow.
you'd gotten your first 4 years in.
Wow.
Yeah, and towards a doctorate in production
Okay.
management
Okay.
in factories. And after that time, then I got another offer from another company they were looking for industrial engineers or trainees, and they paid $100 a month more,
Wow.
which was good at that time.
Yeah.
And the same story, excited. And after that, the guy that looked at those courses, and I would have a master's in industrial engineering.
Wow.
I actually have no credits, no degree.
Right. Right. So just to go back to the Noah story for a minute,
Yes.
to connect that to what you have experienced from God. A lot of times, in order for God to work in our lives in the way that he can, it takes us trusting that he is in full control.
Well, that's what it is.
And so that sounds like that's what you learned in some of these experiences the Lord brought you through, and it connects with what something that I've been meditating on recently. Another boat, the disciples in the boat with Jesus, and how before the storm they were in with Jesus in the boat, but they were terrified, and then they were like, "We're gonna die," and then Jesus stood up and calmed the storm, and he said, "Where is your faith? I'm in the boat with you." You know, so I think basically the lesson is to be like Noah, that in the middle of the storm, know that the Lord is with us, whether it feels calm or feels crazy.
Personal feelings should have no bearing on it.
So that's something that you've learned to live throughout your life. Praise the Lord. So now maybe putting a pin there, what if you tell me a little bit more about your life from the beginning,
Well,
and I don't know if we want to try and do everything completely historically, but the highlights of what you would like to share.
Let's put it this way. We were I was born at the end of the Depression. My dad had been from there, it was wounded and gassed in World War I, and from what I could discover, basically spent most of his life before my birth. I don't recall him in the Veterans Hospital. In fact, my mother was visiting him in Minneapolis, which was about 50 some miles from where we lived, or she lived, when I came due. And I always said, well, the military escorted my mother to the hospital to deliver me.
Wow.
Because Veterans
'Cause that's-
hospitals didn't have maternity wards.
Right. So she was there and they escorted her straight to the hospital.
Somebody took her to.
Yeah, yeah.
And she didn't drive, so
Right.
that started it. There was little incidents that I learned right looking at that history, stories that were told, but I were beyond belief. For example, when it must have been about 5, and my brother was home, and it had to be like Christmas vacation because he was in school. Wanted to go ice skating on a pond that was about a quarter mile, farm pond, you know. And my dad says, yeah, but take me along. So we got the sled, the farm sled that I could sit on. He pushed me over and we went skating. We went through the ice. I was told, I don't remember any up here. But my mother said that, and she said it so much I must have been there, that all of a sudden my dad got up and said, the kids are in trouble, and took off. Took off running, which his heart wasn't able to let him do. But he did. And apparently he was there so that as we were going, we hit a spring. And when you hit a spring, all of a sudden the ice is maybe 1/8 of an inch thick. And we went down. And he was there to grab us out of the ice, right out of the water as we went down in the sled and push us home.
Wow.
And I said, I can't believe that. I couldn't believe that. No way could I believe that could happen. Because you don't crawl out on the ice and stand on the edge of a broken ice without going down yourself. And that's nature. And he did. Now he kneeled and, reached down. So he pulled us up. We were safe. And then when I was doing the history on it, I found out that this was in, like I say, January. In March of that year, our family was baptized.
Oh, wow. Okay. So your family got saved, found the Lord that same year, that same spring.
Yeah, must have had something to do with it.
Okay.
My mother was.
So your parents didn't grow up in
Well,
Christian.
my mother grew up in church,
Okay.
but so she was baptized as a baby.
Oh, okay.
But my brother, my sister, myself, my dad, we were baptized that day. And what really sealed the story for me is about 18 years later, I was talking to a plumber that was there that happened to own the beer joint back in those days. And he was wondering if my dad had gone back to the hospital because he hadn't come in for a drink. And he died in August. So from March to August, he didn't have a drink, and he used to go in once a week.
Wow.
And I thought, well,
so there was a change of life that you
something
found
changed.
out about later.
Yeah. And so I think I'll see him in heaven.
Praise the Lord. Yeah. Yeah.
And life was very hard. We moved in with Grandpa and Grandma, and I started school, and it was all right. In the spring of the next year, and that was 1944, spring of 1945, Grandpa died. And that left my mother in charge. She was getting welfare for the 3 kids and a widow's pension for 3 kids. So she had, at that time, she was getting $30 a month.
Wow.
Which depending upon what you use, would be like getting about $2,000 a month,
Okay.
more or less.
Thank you for the conversion. Yeah. I wouldn't have known how much that would be
Well,
worth.
I tested Google a couple of years ago, and
Okay.
it came out to about 1800.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And then she had to, of course, take over. Besides having 3 kids, she had to take care of her mother. Welfare didn't pay for parents because kids were supposed to support them
Mm.
and to make the mortgage and utilities and all that kind of stuff. So times got very tough.
Mm-hmm.
And we know about a dish on the table was for pennies if you happen to find one.
Come on.
The town we lived in was very fortunate because, like I say, times were tough. But we never had a locker that went dry, empty. Somebody always made a mistake and would fill it up. A couple of farmers would call my mother a couple of times a year, once a year, I don't know. It's too young. And offer her a veal calf if they had it processed. Would she take it because they got to get the cow back to work? Okay. Now this is old talk. You got to be old to understand that. And so we never, we had food. We had that. I got the man that owned the theater would have westerns on Saturday and comedy for all the kids to come that day. And he knew I couldn't come, so he gave me a job. If I'd come down 3 nights a week and change the marquee, I could go to movies all I wanted.
Wow. I was going to ask, that probably wouldn't be your first official job, but when did you start having to work to help your family?
When I was 6 in first grade, I got a paper route.
Oh, okay. Got a paper route.
I wasn't old enough to have one, but the lady whose son was giving it up, she kept the route in her name.
Okay.
Until I got old enough to be able to do it.
Wow. How old did you officially have to be to get it in your name?
I think you had to be 10.
Okay.
Well, 10 or 11.
Wow. Wow. Okay. And then, so that was something to help your family. And then you mentioned furniture.
Well, I had an uncle that actually it was my grandfather's brother, bachelor brother.
Okay.
That was one of the things he did. That started doing that to refinish furniture, paint the barn and whatnot.
And so was that a paying job or was that free labor?
That was free labor. That was just learning how to do what's expected of you at home.
Right. Okay. Wow. What other jobs did you have between?
Well, eventually, I started working for the theater. I was getting well paid for it.
Okay.
Cleaning it, and so on every night or every day before the movie. And that graduated. So when I was a senior, I was kind of managing the theater.
Wow.
So all those years, I got a job. The restaurant would hire me to wash the dishes. Which meant emptying the the tray and putting them in. And
I have a question that I don't want to derail everything, but nowadays, there's a lot of talk about minimum wage, and you can't hire a young person unless you're going to pay them at least $15 an hour or whatever. Here in Texas, it's lower, but in a lot of other states, it's higher. And what would you say that prevents young people from being able to start at a lower level and work their way up, like it sounds like you did in some ways?
It was not a case so much of working my way up or for that. It was a way of helping my mother survive.
But if, like, let's say the theater couldn't hire you unless they were going to pay you this, well, then they would have never. You would have never been able to work. Yeah.
No, he wouldn't have hired anybody. He would have shut the theater down.
It's different the way that family and work and business and people growing up learning how to work than it is nowadays. it feels like that feels like that's one of the differences.
Yeah, that was one of it. The the church we went to, which was the big Lutheran church,
Okay.
to do that belonged there. Every business only belonged to that church. The school board, the city council, all were part of the same church.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know what well, in the books what their really mission was, but in life practice, they were there to help the community, whoever needed help.
Okay.
There would be, like I see, there'd be meat. The man at the locker made a lot of mistakes, and we'd fill our box up. Who donated it? You don't.
Wow. So you grew up Lutheran at a Lutheran church.
It was a Lutheran church.
Yeah. Have you stayed Lutheran, going to Lutheran churches throughout the years, or have there been different
Up
ones?
to the last 25 years.
Okay.
When we moved to Owatonna, the Lord moved us to a different church.
Okay.
And the churches were changing at that point.
You've mentioned there's two things you've mentioned that I would like to hear more about. One, the world was different. The world has changed. So what are some of the big changes you've seen? And then two, you've mentioned that looking back, you see things differently now than you did when you were living them. So let's start doing one at a time. The first one, how have you seen the world change?
Well, it's much more formal. People are more scared of getting the wrong thing. The news is causing that. People that would be helpful may be helpful for their church. But if you're a Lutheran and there's a Seventh-day Adventist down the street, you may not be so willing to help.
Because you're not part of the same group.
You don't, yeah. That type of thing.
Yeah.
In politics,
So more division.
yeah, much more division in there. Much more rules. Kids, as a general rule, would go out and play at night because you didn't have TV or anything. And you'd be expected to be home at a certain time, which is usually dark. Well, in the summer, that would be 10:30. Okay. But you knew what those rules were, and you weren't worried. Your parents weren't. At least my mother wasn't worried about where I was. Okay. You would be. See, how can I say? We'd spend a lot of time out in the woods because we were in there playing. But we had one farmer that didn't like anybody in his property, so you stayed away.
So yeah, more fear, more division, more rules. Back then you had more freedom, sounds like.
Yeah, you had more freedom to get in trouble.
And what are some of the ways that you look back, you see things differently now? I think that's something you mentioned, like just the way you look back on things now. How do you see it differently than you did before?
Well, I don't personally. It doesn't bother me to what your past is. I really don't care.
To do what?
What your past is. I mean, I don't really care if you drank. I quit drinking beer when I turned 21 and it became legal. And that's true.
Okay.
I got so sick one night and I can't stand the smell of it to this day.
Okay.
So I quit.
Okay.
But you can, today you're more, I don't know, afraid of offending somebody by saying the wrong thing.
Yeah, right.
Okay. That's probably, that'd be about basically about it. You're more afraid to uh, go talk to a banker because they're trying to chisel you,
Right, right.
take everything away from you.
And again, that goes back to not being part of the same community. It's like he doesn't know you. He doesn't care about you. He's in it for
You're just
himself.
a number.
Right, right. But again, looking back, how do you see things? I guess this is another way to say it. Is there anything that you see differently now, looking back, than you saw it when you lived through it? Whether it be, oh, I should have appreciated that more, or oh wow, that was a lot harder than I realized, or anything along those lines.
Yeah, so you see a lot of things. You were doing a lot of things that you wonder, why in the heck did I do that? You know, you drive. We would, we would race out on a pond in the wintertime. One of the guys had a farm pond, and would take the plow or the tractor and make a path, and we'd race on the ice.
Wow.
You don't do that. You wouldn't dare take kids on a toboggan because it's so unsafe, and ride down the road and let them ride in the ditch. And the one that irritates me, I think, the most is that nobody will ride a bike unless they have a helmet on. Never had a helmet. And I don't recall too many people that hurt their head.
Here's a couple. As you have other stories that come to mind, that's fine. But as you're looking back, what can you say you have learned of the Lord that will help you to look forward and to finish well? What is your hope looking forward?
Well, we trust He's going to open the doors and He'll close them. We're getting now physically, I don't know if I'll come back next year.
Wow.
In July of last year, I didn't think I'd be able to make it. But you keep coming as long as you can. And He'll do something to you to make sure when it's time to quit. I look for Him all the time. He'll tell you when to do that. And I've been known to not have to put a lot of thinking behind a change because you go to prayer. And it's been one or two times I blamed Him for the wrong advice, but for not listening should be more correct. But no, you have to trust Him for what you do.
So that's basic. That's the main thing that it boils down to: trust and faith.
Yep.
When He opens the door, go through. When He shuts the door, don't bang on it. Don't try to open it up.
Well, that's what I told him. And I'll keep going until He shuts the door.
So you mentioned that whenever you were, I think you said 21, you were trying to go to university. You said, Lord, I give up, and you open the door, I'll go through. Before that, what was your relationship with the Lord like? As far as praying, reading the Bible, or anything like that?
It was shortly after I graduated from high school, maybe the fall of that year, sometime, I'm not sure. The pastor made a comment when I was leaving church. He said he was afraid I was missing the boat.
No.
And you know what that means in general terms.
He was afraid for your soul. He was afraid for your soul.
I was just missing the boat. And when I got home, I had the thought came in my brain that I better start reading that Bible. The answer, the boat was in the Bible. Is the way I put it.
It's a good way of putting it.
And so I read it. The first time through I read it, I found out you cannot speed read the Bible. The second time I read it, the thing I remember most is that all the stories we had in Sunday school about all the heroes in the Bible, none of them were very good people.
It's a good point. When you go through the heroes of the faith in Hebrews, like, wait, these were the people that messed up.
Yeah, I mean, you go through it in the Hebrews, you can go through it in the Old Testament, their
Right.
lives.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I'll cheat on my wife and I'll get a bad son out of it. So what? You know, but
Yeah.
that was the one, that's the only thing I remember about it.
Okay.
The third time through, I got to, first thing I learned, I got to Habakkuk, and that phrase, the righteous live by faith.
Hmm.
And that's kind of, I guess, my key verse.
Hmm.
And I prefer the simple definition. The righteous is one that does the right thing. It covers all angles and not necessarily just religious righteousness.
Right. Right.
It's doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you do it by faith.
By faith,
That's
not in yourself, not in your own strength.
that stuck out in my mind.
Hmm.
And the second thing was when I know I was in Romans somewhere, and I had this realization that what the Lord wanted was somebody to talk to Him.
Hmm.
We could say pray or what, but talk to Him.
Praying is talking. Yeah, praying is talking to the Lord. Yeah.
And that struck me for the rest of the things. So then it was probably 3-4 years of growing up on that basis and learning and reading the Bible somewhat and watching my own lifestyle a little bit, making a few changes until I had that bad week and just told the Lord I give up trying to do anything.
That you would live, basically, Lord, you're in control, not me. Right?
I'm not that smart, but
That's basically what you're saying.
Yeah.
When you say, when you open the door, I'll go through. When you close the door. So basically,
it's the same thing.
because so many people go through their life trying to be in control themselves, to control their own destiny, their own lives, their own decisions. Like, this is what I want, so this is what I'm going to get. And so being able to say, Lord, I trust you, and I'm going to follow you, that's putting yourself in the Lord's hands.
Yeah, it was. And when I did quit eventually, like I say, so I could go to school. I went down to a place where I'd worked for a day or two once when I was laid off running machines. And the personnel manager at that time called me. He said, I'm his controlman. And I had no idea what that was. Well, it was far beyond my ability, far beyond any training, far beyond anything. And he would not take anything else. And we managed to make it okay, and it came out good. It took a few years. And then that's when I got offered that second job, which was basically the same format.
Wow, that's good. That's good stuff.
Because I went from running the machine, working in the factory, to they said I was a controlman. I was in charge of 36 machines, 3 shifts a day, telling them what to do, when to do it, and where, and who to do which. Sometimes how to do it.
And what were the machines for? What was this getting?
Dirt lathe.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Machine shop.
Okay. Okay. For metal or for wood?
Metal.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Where I was, I'd learned the trade. This was, the foreman was under my control. 3 foremen.
Wow. Wow.
Which I was not qualified. That's when I got that first education.
So you were saying your life versus in Habakkuk, basically, the righteous shall live by faith. Wow.
And you take the faith whether you think you're qualified or not. If that's what you're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The second job I was not qualified for, but the same thing happened, and I ended up consulting some of the nation's biggest businesses
Wow.
on how to reduce the cost of their production.
Okay. And what kind of job was that? What was the business doing?
Well, one was, let's see. One made generators for tanks.
Okay.
One made, can't think of Dramatic made electronic um, doors,
Okay.
door openings and stuff, electronic stuff. Avis rented cars,
Mm. Okay.
and kind of right down the line on that.
And then
I did have a black book that had a lot of important names, not girls.
right. Right. And then you ended up at the post office at some point,
Yeah,
because
I
that's
got
what you
to-
retired from.
Yeah, I got to one point, and it was big money, and I realized one day that my kids didn't have a dad.
Hmm.
I was traveling.
Hmm. How old were your kids at this point?
Well, the oldest was getting into junior high.
Okay.
She was entering seventh grade, so I just quit.
Hmm. Wow. What did the Lord use to convict you of that? That would be what you could call an open door, but you had to see it that your kids needed a dad.
I really don't know. I just had that thought, and it was at Christmas time, and was take a few days off to stay home, and I had to go back, but I went back for a week.
Okay. And said, it's time to be done.
And one of the VPs from the electric company, might leave names out,
Yeah, that's fine.
called me. He says, I'll give you $1 million, if you will form your own company and to go to all the plants.
Wow.
And I said, no, I got to go home. The kids I got to be a father.
Wow.
He said, I knew you'd say that. It's the right thing to do. So I have good luck.
Wow. Wow.
And that's it. So for 7, 8 years, I really did odd jobs, whatever.
Okay.
And then I got a job at the post office.
All right. All right.
I'm retired from there, so
Well,
good insurance and whatnot.
well, that is quite the story, and I know we are probably just scratching the surface.
So we just covered 80 years.
We're about right at an hour. Do we want to keep going, or do we want to wrap it up
You
there
got
for
more
now?
questions, I'll answer them. I've told you about everything I know.
Yeah.
I can make up stuff.
No, thank you. Thank you
No.
for sharing. I appreciate it. And I think we can probably stop there for now. If we decide in the future we want to keep going, we can.
Yeah. No,
But,
it's
But thank you.
in
I
my
appreciate
case,
it.
it was starting at the bottom,
Mm-hmm.
growing up at the bottom,
Mm-hmm.
and this work was the necessity.
But the life lesson was the Lord's in control of the boat. Let's finish in prayer. We didn't start in prayer, so let me just close this in prayer.
Okay.
Lord, thank you for my brother Dennis. Thank you for his life story and how you've been at work in him and through him to bless others, to bless him, to take care of him, to show him this truth that you are the God who is in control and we are in your hands and the whole boat is in your hands, Lord. I thank you for the testimony of that he has been able to share with me and through the podcast with others of how you are faithful and how it is the righteous live by faith. We follow you, Lord. That is the righteous life. And we pray that you would continue to bless him and lead him, guide him, continue to give him faith to follow you and to finish well. And we thank you, Lord. Thank you for all your blessings. And we pray this in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
This podcast is a part of Rio Grande Bible Ministries. If you want to learn more about the Bible College, that's in Spanish, the language school to learn Spanish, the radio station, or Bibleville, or any of the other ministries of Rio Grande, find us at riogrande.edu. That's our website, riogrande.edu. And if you want to interact with the podcast, if you want to ask questions, give us feedback, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, searching for Entre Hermanos. Make sure to add Rio Grande to your search, and we will be the first ones to show up. Thank you for listening to our podcast, Entre Hermanos, which means Between Brothers.